that's a big part on this too, that people don't understand. With this just now being an infraction, if you got caught with cannabis in your car or with a misdemeanor, that's going to make your insurance rates go up. But if this is an infraction, it's not going to appeal to that so much.
That's amazing. So do you think that she just has like power of, like the president does, that just says, okay, this is what I want, and so this is a presidential...
For the state of California, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So nobody voted, no representatives, no citizens?
It was done under... and that's what it was stated in the paper too when I read it. It was all done for financial, because the state of California is so broke, and it was all done for, because, you know, with this way it'll be an infraction, it'll be $100. Last time it was a misdemeanor. People are having to get sent to drug courts, all kinds of stuff. That's costing the state money.
Instead of making
$100 off an infraction, they're having to spend money on sending people to drug courts for something stupid for under an ounce. So.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, I'm so glad you know so much about all this stuff, because what would we do? We'd be like, what the hell just happened? And we'd have no idea. Yeah.
And I'd like to thank Larry in Lake County for sending me a lot of the news, and I'd like to thank Jeannie Hare for posting a lot of the news, and I'd like to thank Steve Bloom and Celeb Stoner for posting a lot of the news also. Yep. And for following us on Twitter.
And also Chuck, because that
Squatch.
story that I read earlier...
Yeah, Charles
Chuck,
Jacobs.
Yeah, he was actually going to be on the show today, but he was detained in a nice way.
In a nice way. And we're going to have him on a show with Rick Simpson on a Skype here coming up, with Rick Simpson out of Europe.
Yep.
So that'll be great.
Yep.
And with the CCHHI, you can help. Go to 420buzz, hemp2012 at gmail.com. And you can see all from that. Email me and I'll send you all the information. Or you can go to youthfederation.com. They have a lot of information on there. Also, YouTube has a video. If you type in capital C, capital C, capital H, capital HI, you'll see it on there.
What about on the jackharrow.com website?
There's information on there also.
Cool. Awesome. Yay.
Hemp 2012. Definition of terms. The terms cannabis hemp and cannabis hemp marijuana mean the natural, non-genetically modified plant hemp. Now that's a big part, because on Proposition 19, they had a lot of money being thrown at them by Monsanto and these big companies that spend a lot of money on manipulating seeds and doing GMOs.
Yeah, and also cornering markets on seeds and different...
And you only can use their chemicals. You can only grow in their type of soil, and it ruined the cotton industry. Monsanto's got such a bad name, they're getting ready to change their name.
Wow. Do you know what they're going to change it to yet?
But
we're waiting to
find out. The terms can mean the non-genetically modified plant hemp, cannabis, marijuana, as M-A-R-I-H-U-A-N-A, marijuana is M-A-R-I-J-U-A-N-A, cannabis sativa L, cannabis americana, cannabis chianensis, cannabis indica, cannabis ruderalis, cannabis sativa, or any variety of cannabis, including any derivative, concentrate, extract, flower, leaf, particle, preparation, resin, root, stalk, seed, salt, stem, or any product thereof.
Okay, now earlier, the news story I read earlier, do you remember the strain that they said was Mexicana C sativa? Do you remember?
So that would be all products thereof. That's where that falls under.
Okay, well, I hope so, because because you know why I'm wondering? Really, this is a good reason. Is because that is the one that they use to isolate those cannabinoids that are medicinal. You know what I mean? So the drug companies get a hold of that, and then bam.
Here is the part that could make America millions and millions of dollars. $2.6 million worth of stuff was imported from China, Mexico, and Canada to make hemp products. Wow. And that hemp products that were imported in the United States, or hemp material that was imported in the United States for people to make like hemp hacky sacks and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Things like that. So what this is this also means the term cannabis hemp industrial products. It means all products made from cannabis hemp that are not designed for human consumption, but not limited to clothing, building materials, paper, fiber, fuel, lubricants, plastics, paint, seed for cultivation, animal feed, veterinary medicine, oil, or any product that is not designed for internal human consumption. And that was a big part of The Emperor Wears No Clothes, where Jack told us, you know, hey, we can use this for all these other things. It's not just for smoking, you know, and it's used for all these other things. And that's why, you know, America's tried to pull this over your eyes, saying, you know, yeah, buy nylon. You know, you can't do it yourself. You have to buy what the corporate America's feeding you. And,
right.
You know, and then when it only lasts for 5 years, you have to go buy more. Government never wanted to sell hemp. Hemp lasts forever. Why would they want to sell that? You buy it once, it lasts forever. They want to sell you nylon. It rips up in 5 years. You have to buy more.
Yeah, they didn't want you to buy it, but they wanted to use it themselves.
It's a disposable society. Also, plants that are used for crop rotation, erosion control, pest control, weed control, or any other horticulture or environmental purpose. For example, the reversal of the greenhouse effect and toxic soil reclamation, like we have here in Lake County.
Wow. They did that in Cuba. They had to actually reclaim all their toxic soil and make it organic again because they banned the petroleum products or any kind of oils or anything imports into the whole entire country, and then so they had to reclaim all their soil. It took on average 5 years for them to clean the soil up enough to where they could grow organic food in it again. Isn't that amazing? Wow, really cool. That's really cool.
The term cannabis hemp medical preparations means all products made from cannabis hemp that are designed, intended, or used for human consumption for the treatment of any human disease or condition, for pain relief, for any healing purpose, including not limited to relief of Alzheimer's, pre-Alzheimer's disease, stroke, arthritis, asthma, cramps, epilepsy, glaucoma, migraine, multiple sclerosis, nausea, premenstrual syndrome, side effects of cancer, chemotherapy, fibromyalgia, sickle cell anemia, spasticity, spinal injury, stress, easement of post-traumatic stress disorders, Tourette syndrome, lung disorders, attention defect disorder, immune deficiency, wasting syndrome from AIDS or anorexia. It's also been used as an antibiotic, antibacterial, antiviral, like you were talking about, or anti-emic, anti-emic, as a healing agent or as adjacent to any medical or herbal treatment. Mental conditions not limited to bipolar depression, attention deficit disorder, or attention deficit hyperactivity disorder shall be conditions considered for medical use.
Wow.
The term cannabis hemp nutritional products means cannabis hemp for consumption by humans and animals as food, but not limited to seed protein, seed oil, essential fatty acids, seedy cake, dietary fiber, or any preparation of the extract thereof. The term cannabis hemp euphoric products means cannabis hemp intended for personal recreation or religious use other than cannabis hemp industrial products, cannabis hemp medicinal preparations, or cannabis hemp nutritional products. The term personal use means and this is an important part right here, okay? The term personal use means the internal consumption of cannabis hemp. And this is one part I disagree with on this law, but I'm still going to raise money for it. The term personal use means the internal consumption of cannabis hemp by people 21 years of age or older for any relaxational, meditative, religious, spiritual, recreational, or any other purpose other than sale. I myself think it should be 18, because if people can get drafted and go to a war and fight and die in a war, they should be able to, you know, at 18, or be sentenced as an adult at 18, they should be able to enjoy cannabis at 18.
Well, right now, if you are prescribed by your doctor, or you have a script from your doctor,
it's 18.
It's 18, and I think it's even been prescribed for even younger. Now, I have kids, and I also, you know, I don't really smoke, or I'm not a user recreationally, but I totally hear what you're saying. And I think that if a doctor thinks that an anorexic teenager is going to benefit from it, or a cancer patient teenager or something, who am I to argue with that? That's all. So that's the part you take issue with, is the age, because you said you don't exactly agree with that.
I don't agree with that part.
It's just the age.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
Also, any industrial cannabis hemp farmers, manufacturers, processors, distributors, also anyone growing medicinal cannabis, or for any reason any cannabis hemp at all,
growers,
they may not be subject to any special zoning requirements, licensing fees, or tax that is excessive, discriminatory, or prohibitive. Exactly, and if they do have a club, of course they pay taxes on the sales itself.
Well, if all farmers pay taxes on their crops and stuff, but they're saying that they want to limit it to whatever other crops are doing. Wow, how cool. This is what I love about Jack Herer, The Emperor Wears No Clothes, the book and the website, jackherer.com. It covers everything. It covers everything, and that's what I love. It covers, medicinal and textiles and foods and just everything you could possibly think of, and that's why this is a great bill. Now,
your local pot doctor is probably against this. I'm not sure. There might be some that are for it, but this is where it really comes in, and people are going to go, I like this bill.
Okay.
Licensed physicians, not just Medican, Medi-Cal people, not just, Medican or these...
All right, so your doctor.
Your doctor. Licensed physicians shall not be penalized for, nor restricted from, prescribing or recommending cannabis hemp for medical purposes to any patient.
Wow, because there are doctors out there who have a huge, lucrative practice of just writing scripts. I read this article in the Sacramento free weekly newspaper, and it was the 10 myths about hemp, and one of the myths was that anybody could get a script, and the guy who writes the articles professes to partake anyway, but he didn't have a script or whatever, so he went to do the article and all the research to see how easy it was to get a script, and he was just like, yeah, I went in and there was like a dozen other early 20s guys in the group with me, and I just said, I have headaches or something like that. He made something up, and he said, which I don't really. And I'm totally paraphrasing because I don't have the article in front of me, so I'm kind of guessing at my memory or whatever. But yeah, he said it was so easy to get a script. He didn't even have to show anything. He didn't have to anything.
And that's bad.
Yeah,
they should have licensed physicians handing it out.
Yeah.
And it said that they shouldn't be restricted from prescribing or recommending cannabis hemp for any medical purpose to any patient regardless of age.
Wow.
So as long
that's what we just talked about.
So they wouldn't, it would be beyond the law.
Well, if a doctor knows what medicinally it can help with, then they should be able to have that in their, their arsenal of things that's going to, help.
No
patients.
recommending physician shall be subject to any professional license review or hearing as a result of recommending or approving medicinal use of cannabis, hemp, marijuana. No permit, license, or tax shall be required for the non-commercial cultivation, transportation, distribution, or consumption of cannabis hemp. And that's for the non-commercial cultivation.
Yeah, so that's just if you want to grow a plant and then drive it over to your friend's house so they can try it out, then there will be no trouble.
Testing for inactive or inert residual cannabis metabolites and metaboloids. Metabolite? What the fuck is that word?
Yeah, metabolites. Yeah. They're basically saying the residue of it.
Shall not be required for any employment or insurance, nor be considered for determining employment or other impairment or intoxication.
That's awesome. Basically, what they're saying, regardless of those words we're stumbling over, is if they're not testing for marijuana. Testing for other drugs is one thing. The thing is, you don't really have to test for marijuana. If you come to work lit all the time and you can't do your job, it's a problem. Right. You don't really need to test for it and be like, what'd you go to a dead show? And
unless they're doing their job, unless they have some sort of creative job and they're doing it better.
Well, of course, because then it wouldn't even come up. But I'm just saying the instances where cannabis is going to interfere with your job are the instances where you're obviously under the influence of it and it's affecting your performance. Otherwise, why test for it? Right. So that you can have control over people and say, you must have trace amounts of cannabis in your system, and you know what I mean? Some jobs are better sober, completely sober, no cannabis at all. And if it's one of those jobs, you're going to
it's going to come out.
It's going to anyway. Yeah, you're not going to need a test for that, right? So, and why fault a person if they did go to a dead show and had some in their test, but don't come to work under the influence, and they can still do their job.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
I mean, it's silly, like the control thing, you know, trying to be in control of people. So like every little detail of their life, you know.
Use of cannabis hemp products for religious or spiritual purposes are to be considered an inalienable right and shall be protected by the full force of the federal Constitution.
Yeah,
so
well,
he's
that's
even
fair.
saying,
That's
you know,
totally fair. Because even with like gold, it's that same thing, inalienable right, where you can have certain religious gold, and no matter what, even if all